Hello, everyone. I'm Rodney, and welcome to Raiders Corner. First, let's get started with all this wokeness, transphobia, and CRT that's going on. Let's talk about the critical race theory that they are trying to teach and shove down our kids' throats in schools. And the bill the left has dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill, passed in Florida, which, if you take time to read for yourself instead of just believing the people that have consistently lied to you about every single thing that has come out of their mouth for God knows, probably since they've been speaking. Stop believing these people. I mean, come on. When have they ever told you the truth about anything? Now, people, I know a lot of people are making this about party, blue and red, Democrat, Republican, but you know what? The party that you once believed in, it might not be the party that it once was. So you need to start waking up and reevaluating this party that you've been so loyal to, that has lied to you for so long. Because this new Democratic Party, people are letting these idiots blow smoke up their ass. They're becoming victims of their lies. Now, because it's just as intellectually lazy to believe everything you see as it is to deny everything you see. Why would someone know anything as fact if they have not looked at the evidence? What they should be teaching in school is skepticism of information. The problem with the internet is people just say whatever they want. They make up shit because it sounds good, and there's nobody there to call them out on the bullshit that they're talking about. Now, if people would do their research and find out for themselves, or if there was someone actually sitting there that would challenge them on this bullshit, to say, no, what you're saying isn't true. You need to back up because there's actually evidence that shows otherwise. These people just say stuff because it sounds good. You got to stop believing these people. I mean, come on. Do your homework, folks. Just assume that everybody you listen to on media is lying to you. Just think that right out of the gate. Now, normally, you don't teach kids sex when they're in the third grade. And that's all Ron DeSantis is saying. He's saying, hey, let's not teach our kids things they don't need to know in a grade they don't need to know it. Let's wait till they get to at least the third grade. And, my problem with that is, why the third grade? Why not the seventh grade? I mean, people, you should be angry at this shit. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to teach a kid in the third grade about sex and being gay and being transgendered. Look, you can say what you want, but there's a lot of books out there and a lot of studies that have proven everything that I'm saying to be true. There's a girl named Abigail Shrier. She's done a book that talks about transgender. Now, I suggest you pick up that book and you read it, because the things they're teaching your kids in school today, you need to be aware of it, because the schools are lying to you. They're catering these kids and the things that they have been forced down their throat to think. They're creating sickness where there is none. And then they're punishing the parents for not bowing down to the kids after the kids have been convinced that they're sick. And the parents don't know because they're not doing the research. I tell my kids all the time that I know I keep repeating things to you guys, and I know you get sick of hearing it, but you know what? It's my job to shove it down your throat until you just get tired of hearing it. So that one day, you can't look at me and say, I wish my dad would have told me this or told me that. I wish he would have taught me this or taught me that. I didn't know. But had he told me, my life would be a lot better. My kids aren't going to be able to come to me and blame me for shit, because I am making them aware of everything that I can. And I know they get sick of hearing the same old song. But let me tell you what, people. When it comes to raising your kids, nobody's going to care about how their life turns out more than the parents. These people aren't paying for the things that your child's going through. You know, just like, let me talk about this for a second. When that kid went in and shot up the school, think about how that turned out for his parents. They went in and arrested the parents because the boy was 16 years old and he had a gun, and the parents didn't parent him correctly. So now the parents are sitting in jail. Now, think about that. They want to give a 16-year-old, they want to give an 8-year-old the right to choose his gender, okay? Or they're even saying, there's been people on the political left side that have come forward to say that kids know their gender in the womb, okay? Now, look, I don't know how in the hell you would possibly know what your gender is when you're in the womb, when you don't even know what your gender is. You don't even know what gender is. You got no idea what boy, girl means. You know nothing right now. You don't even know you're alive, but you know what gender you are. I mean, the things that these people are trying to teach, it's absurd. I mean, come on. Think about some of the stuff that these people are saying. It don't take no genius to figure it out. People, y'all should be mad. You know, and then Ron DeSantis is looking out for Florida. He don't give a shit about all the other states. That's not his job. He's not the president of the United States. He's the governor of Florida. And that's his job. And that's what the people rely on him for. Don't worry about the rest of the country. Worry about the one that you're paid to govern. And I can tell you this, a lot of governors across, not just in America, but in any country where they have governors, they could learn a lot from Ron DeSantis right now. Ron DeSantis ain't blowing smoke up people's ass. He's not telling everybody what they want to hear. And he's a lot like Trump. He tells the truth. He says what's on his mind. And he sticks to his guns. And you know what? He'll go out into a group of 1,000 people and let anybody ask questions because he's not scared of how he feels about the law and how he governs his people. He stands on everything because he knows his values are true. And let me tell you what, people, if you go through life doing the right thing, you don't have to question anything you've done. You don't have to worry about tossing and turning at night. You don't have to worry about anybody coming after you for doing bogus things to them and lying and cheating them out of stuff. Because you can lay your head down on a pillow at night and you can wake up in the morning and you can look your kids and your wife in the eye and say, hey, I did my best yesterday and I did it in a way that can make you guys proud of me. That's got to mean a lot. And kids watch that stuff. You know, it's just like when you're riding down the road. If you're drinking a beer with your seatbelt off, your kids are over there playing in the back seat and in the passenger seat. A lot of parents think they're not watching, but they are watching everything you do. They mimic everything. Soon as they get in a car to drive, they're going to do exactly what they have watched their father do and their mother do for all the years they've been riding in the car, innocently playing in the back seat or the passenger seat. They're going to mimic what they were taught. If they see you cut the radio down, put your seatbelt on, adjust your mirror, and look out both sides and back out, and then pull forward and use your blinker, that's what they're going to do because that's all they know. Now, it's the same in anything. Kids, you know, at a young age, they're so much more capable of learning and processing information than what we are as adults. You know, kids are extremely intelligent, you know, from birth to, you know, say 9, 10 years old. Their ability to learn is beyond belief. I mean, if a human being was capable of learning at 50, at the level that a child is able to learn at 6, we would all be geniuses, you know. But I'm going to tell you this. We can't go through life listening to both sides of these parties and assume that they're telling us the truth. I mean, people, look at your pocketbooks right now. Look, I don't care if you like Trump or if you like Biden. None of that matters, okay? It really don't. Look at what does matter. Is your family doing good? Can you afford to put gas in your car? Can you afford to put food in your refrigerator? Can you afford to buy football uniforms and cheerleading outfits for your kids? You know, you can't. Right now, everything is a wreck. And you know what? There's nobody to blame but Biden. And where's he at right now? He is in St. Croix with his toes up and a margarito in his hand, while people all across the country are being killed with fentanyl, freezing in the cold. I mean, there's a catastrophe going on in New York right now. People are being found outside in the snow dead. You know, people are being shot in the streets. And where's Ojo? Ojo is in St. Croix with his toes up, giving all us the finger. And he don't give a shit about us. I mean, they're teaching people to raise their kids to be transgendered. Look, that book I was speaking of, it's called Irreversible Damage by Abigail Shrier. It talks about kids growing up all the way up to 2007. Gender dysphoria was a sickness that boys had. Girls didn't even have it. 1 in 10,000 boys suffered from this disease up till 2007, okay? Now, take a minute to evaluate that number. That means nobody you graduated with had it. I mean, I know our high school probably had 500 people in it. Now, I know there's probably bigger schools throughout the country that have a lot more, but out of say 5, 6 schools, all put together, there might have been one person that was transgendered or that had gender dysphoria, and they didn't even know it, okay? Medicine has learned this stuff, and they have done studies, and there's proof, you know? So there's objective truth, and then there's personal truth, as Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about. Objective truth is undeniable, and there is evidence to speak on it. And what that means is there's been a lot of people come forward and done experiments to disprove it. And in doing so, they actually proved it to be right. That is objective truth. Personal truth is something that you've taught yourself to believe. You know, like the earth is flat, or Jesus is Lord and Savior. God is Almighty. Those are personal truths. Now, I don't care what anyone tells you. They're not going to convince you that there's not a Jesus or God. But there's other people who believe in Allah, that believe in there's all kind of religions out there. Now, I hate to say it, at the end of the day, everybody can't be right. But does it really matter who your God is, as long as you're talking to one of them? You know, who knows? God might be all of them, you know? I don't know. I mean, I know who my God is. Everyone has their own God. But we won't make this about religion. But going back to objective truth. People, you have to know when somebody's lying to you. And you can't just trust people anymore. Most people know this, especially adults. But with this transgendered stuff, it's pathetic. I mean, now 30% of young teenage girls have it. And none of them have showed any signs of gender dysphoria since they were little girls. And there is a precedence in place that says if you've got gender dysphoria, you suffer from certain symptoms, as a young girl, as you grow into your teenage years. And almost none of these girls have any of those symptoms. Where are they learning it? They're learning it on the internet. And then they're convincing themselves of it. And then they're going to websites. I'm not even going to say the name of them because I don't want to give them any attention. But there's websites out there that specifically teach these kids how to convince a psychiatrist that they are suffering from gender dysphoria. Because in the DSM-5, they're teaching them how and what symptoms they need to display in order to be characterized as having gender dysphoria. And then the doctors, the psychiatrists, they don't care. They're getting money off of this. So they don't mind telling the parents, and the sad thing is the parents are going to these schools, they're going to the doctors and the psychiatrists to have help, to get help for their kid, to have them explain to their child that they're not suffering from gender dysphoria. They're not transgendered. They're just going through teenage stuff. They're confused. Write it out and they'll grow out of it. Just as the boys did when they said 1 in 10,000 had it. They said 70% of those boys grew out of it in time. And out of the 30% that didn't grow out of it, didn't have all these sex changes and do all this bad stuff, start dissecting their bodies, and doing things to it that they could not take back later, they would just start dressing like girls. And they didn't do it because they were trying to convince anyone else that they were a girl. They were doing it to give themselves comfort. And look, I know it's got to be a personal torture to feel like you're trapped in the wrong body, or that you're trapped in any world that you don't want to be in. I grew up in a world that was very violent. My father was a very mean man. And beating your ass was not a problem. And if he was in a bad mood, everybody got slapped around. That's just how it was. And you lived on the edge all the time. Even when there was peace, you knew at any moment shit could go sideways real quick. And because of that, you lived in fear. And believe me, I know what it's like to live in fear. I kept a bag packed by my bed all my teenage years, so that when the shit hit the fan, I could dive out my window in my room and I could hit the road. And I can't tell you how many months that I spent on the streets homeless, nowhere to go, or turning to friends, or making new friends so I could turn to them. And you learn how to manipulate people. You learn how to make friends with people, because when you have a friend, you can usually count on them. And when you're young, you think everybody you know is your friend. I mean, I remember one time my dad saying that when you die, you can count all your friends on one hand. And, as I've gotten older, I know that to be true. But the one thing I also know to be true is that the more I learn about people, the more I love my dog. People will let you down. But when you're growing up as a teenager and you turn to these people, they're everything. What they tell you is gold. And these young girls today are turning to the internet to people that don't even know them. They don't care about them. They're suffering themselves. And they don't want to suffer alone. So what do? They tell these young girls to do exactly what they did, even though what they did is wrong. Parents, you have to pay attention to what your kids are doing on their cell phones. You have to pay attention to where they're going on the internet. And look, I'll be honest with you. If I had to raise a kid today, I don't even think I'd let them have a cell phone. I wouldn't let them have the internet. I just wouldn't. It's too scary. They're being brainwashed by so many different places now. I mean, even the government. Look at the White House. Look at the Capitol. Biden has hired how many transgendered people into the White House in the past 2 years? And then you've got this Sam guy, I forget his last name, Sam Brinton or whatever his name is, that was stealing luggage in the airport. He was in charge of nuclear waste. Are you kidding me? This guy's just landed the job of a lifetime, and he's dressing like a female, putting lipstick on, going to the Capitol, and acting like this sick individual and playing it to the hilt. And then what's he doing? He's in the airport stealing strangers' luggage and then wearing their clothes, women's clothing, and then lying about it until, I mean, look, when you're on video stealing somebody's suitcase and ripping the tags off and then wearing their clothes, it's kind of hard to deny, you know? I mean, hey, game's up, you know? You might as well fess up. So now he's been fired. And I say that to say this, that, you know, just because a person checks all the right boxes don't mean they're right for the job. Look at Kamala Harris, what a horrible job she's done. I mean, nobody could have done a worse job than she has done as vice president. Look, I know Mike Pence let a lot of people down when he made the decision that he made to not support Trump in the election stuff. Now, I do believe in my heart that Mike Pence is a good man. I think he's weak. I do. 50 Cent talks about a conversation he had with this author who wrote I don't remember the name of the book, but he was saying that Mike Pence will not go to lunch with other women unless his wife is present. Now, look, I think if you're in a relationship where your wife can't trust you with other women and you're the second most powerful person in the world, I don't care what anyone says. When a man is in front of other women, I know if my daughter was going to meet with Mike Pence, I'd want Mike Pence to say everything that he was really thinking, to be the person that he really is, so that my daughter would get the truth out of it, of this meeting. And I think him having his wife present during those conversations caused him to behave a certain way. And the fact that his wife don't trust him when he's off doing these things, it's kind of pathetic, you know. And because of that, I think a man being that weak shouldn't be a leader at all. And I pray to God that he doesn't run for president in 2024. We need a man running this country, running our country, that is strong, who has values, who believes in God, who's not going to be pushed around, who will stand up for what he believes, who will be the loudest voice in the room. And when everybody in the room, look, I don't know if you've ever been in a room when something real bad happens, but I have. When, let's say, a bad guy walks into a room right now, and you're in a room with 60, 70 people, and there's a tough guy that walks in who's got a gun and starts demanding everybody, you know, give him money or do this, and he's slapping people around, you know, slapping women. Everybody in that room, if you watch, I don't care what room it is, I don't care what side of the town you're on, what state you're in, what country you're in, everybody in that room will look at the strongest person in that room for help. And they all seem to know who that person is. Even if they don't know everybody, because of the way someone carries themselves. They know when the danger hits, they know that there's someone in the room stronger than them. That's the person that people in that room will turn to. So let's keep it real. When all these NATO meetings and all these leaders from other countries are all in a room and there's something said, If you watch in any video of Trump being in that room, everyone looks at Trump first. Why? Because he is, well, for one, he's probably the tallest guy in the room. He's probably the biggest guy in the room. But he don't play. He stands on what he believes, and he puts his foot down. Look, people, Ukraine wouldn't be in a war right now if Trump was president. Let's keep it real. Putin would have never made that decision. I don't care what anyone says. Putin knew not to mess with Trump. Xi Jinping knew not to mess with Trump. Everyone in China, both sides, knew not to mess with Trump. Everyone said Trump would push the button and cause wars. You know, Ronald Reagan once said that every generation has to fight for its freedom. But, you know, there were, not only that, he also believed that you lead a country by projecting strength. Our country has never looked more weak than it looks right now. And it's sad. No one in the history of presidents has done a worse job than what President Biden has done. It's pathetic. I mean, I can't think of one thing that President Biden has done, not just in office the past 2 years, but in 50 years. If you look back in history of Biden's office run, he has lied repeatedly. And I mean, I'm not talking about little lies. I'm talking about there are huge lies on video. I mean, it's easy to find. Just type lying Biden and you'll see so many videos pop up of Biden lying to the people's face with a smile. And now he's not changed. He's doing the same thing. He's still lying about everything. Except for now, the man is so sick. His dementia is so bad. I don't even think he knows he's a president. That's why he keeps calling Kamala president. He has no idea. I mean, look, when they put Biden in office, think about it. They needed somebody that couldn't fight back. They needed somebody that they could control. Somebody that wouldn't grow a pair at some point. And what more perfect person than Biden? We don't have to worry about him growing a pair. And we don't have to worry about Kamala getting strong. You know, in spite of all the mistakes Kamala's made, because America is such a forgiving people, I promise you this, and I think everyone would agree with me. Right now, if Kamala Harris was to stop the shenanigans, go to the border, fix it, give Biden the finger, give the Democrat Party the finger, and say, hey, I am the second most powerful person in the world right now. Y'all will do what I tell you. Get my plane ready. Get my people ready, and we're leaving. We're going to take care of the border. We're going to fix shit, and I'm not being y'all's puppet anymore. Do you know what? Kamala Harris could turn the people around. And quite frankly, she might not have been the right person to start out with. She checked all the right boxes because she was black and she was a female. But she could become that right person. She could. But will she? No. Unless she sees this video and it gives her an idea, which would be nice. Because we need somebody to grow a pair right now. And I tell you what, there's a better chance of Kamala Harris growing a pair than it is for Biden to grow a pair. And look, if you watch, Jill don't even support Biden. If you see him sometimes doing the stupid shit he does, she looks at him like, oh my God, you idiot. Jesus Christ, can you do anything right? His family is a disaster. Hunter is a disaster. I will say this, his brother has stayed out of the light most of the part. He's not out there doing stupid shit like Hunter is. But even his brother, they've all capitalized off of Biden being in office. And you know what? No president in history has betrayed its country more than what Biden has. Biden, Hunter, and his brother, they should be put in Gitmo for the rest of their life for the crimes that they have committed to America. Look at the things he has done with China. I don't know what Xi Jinping has on Biden, but I tell you what, whatever it is solid. Because Biden is scared to even say the wrong word around this man. Biden is so scared of that president. Even on the phone, thousands of miles away, he's scared to bring up certain subjects. I don't know what that man has on him, but he's got it on him and he's got it on his whole family. And let me tell y'all what, people. There's a book called The China Dream. And I've talked about it before. Y'all have got to do some research. China, again, thinks in terms of and centuries. Whereas America, we think in terms of 4-year political terms. So everything's done on a 4-year basis. Even right now, we're looking at 2 years from now. Biden's almost over. We're looking at the next 4 years with the next president, and we're making plans. China doesn't do that. China, what they do is they think in terms of 100 years. What can we accomplish over the next 100 years? Let's get that in play. That's how China does things. And let me tell you what. China is so far ahead of its mark right now. It's got TikTok in America, making our kids so stupid. If you look at TikTok in China, the kids in China are doing science fairs. They're doing architectural stuff. They're shooting for being doctors and lawyers. I mean, their TikTok's totally different over there. But in America, they are teaching our kids to be idiots. China is in every single one of our colleges. It has indoctrinated everyone. Let me tell you what. Once China figured out that our president ain't the one with the power, they changed their whole game. They quit going for the president and they started going for Congress members. And now, I'll tell you what. How many people have walked into the China trap? Come on over here. We'll pay for everything. We'll put you up in a nice motel. And that motel's got video equipment in every corner. And they're sending up girls. You know, they're sending in drugs. I mean, everything, especially to these men who are in Congress. Oh my God, they have blackmailed every single one of them. If you look at how dedicated some of these men in Congress have stuck to their guns on lying, and some of these judges, the shit that they have done, you have to ask yourself, there's no way. There is something on these people that they are so scared is going to get out, like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. There is so much data that is being used against these people that they choose to give them people what they want over death. Because they know, I mean, and I'm talking about a lot of the Democrats and some of the Republicans too, that they got so much dirt on them that they know. You think about it. You got a wife, you got kids, you got grandkids. And if they were to find out that you were doing drugs and sleeping with prostitutes when you were in China or wherever it is that you did it, their life is over. Their career is over. They'd stick a gun in their mouth. And because of that, they will lie to the very end. I don't care how much evidence you show of election fraud. I don't care how much evidence you show that a person's done something wrong. The judges and the Democrat Party, and even some of the Republicans, to the end, they will choose to stand for that person because death is their only option. They either go to bat for this person and lie for them and side in their favor, or their life is over. As simple as that. Look, the gig is up. In a lot of situations, you know when you've been busted, it's over. But when your family and everything you love, including the power that you're used to having as a congressman, your wife, your kids, your grandkids, everyone's done with you, you have to walk away with nothing and in shame. Come on. That will justify why all these people have continued to protect all those in power. Look at all these judges. I know they've had to been paid off. There has to be something blackmailing them. There is no way you can deny the many things that have come forward about election fraud. You can't deny it. And those who are denying it just aren't seeing the truth. They're not trying to see the truth. They're so caught up in believing in their party that they don't even realize that their party was center right. And now they're so extreme left that they don't even know what right is anymore. Honestly. Look, people. You know, I'll bring you the truth. I'm bringing you facts. And if anything I say during my video can't be proven, I will never do another video again. Everything I say, I will stand on. And not because I'm being blackmailed, but because it's the truth. It's the objective truth, not something I just believe, but it is the objective truth. There are facts to back it up. Look, I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I hope everyone has a great New Year. And until I see you on the next video, peace out. And have a great